Hello, I'm Matthew Honestchuk, and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this next segment of Coffee Chat, which I title The Team, I'm going to share with you my experience about going to a channeler for the first time. This goes back to October of 2013. At the time, I was seeing my Reiki master on an ongoing basis in terms of healing my trauma and finding my new path in life. And I gotten to a point where she felt like I should go a little bit deeper and see if I could bring up some really traumatic memories that would help me make a quantum leap forward. So she suggested I go see a channeler. And I said, sure, I'm up for that. And I was okay with it because I thought, well, a channeler is probably just like a psychic. And I had been friends with my friend Anna Marie for about 17 years at that point. And on a regular basis, I would get, answers to the questions, and that would help me in my life. And so I thought, okay, this is going to be a different flavor. Boy, was I wrong. Like, different flavor? Phew. So when I made the appointment, I should have read the brochure, but they said that you could bring a better half with you. So I asked my wife if you'd like to come along. And she said, yeah, it sounds interesting. I'll give it a try. And so just before, literally about 10 minutes before I was about to leave the house to go for the appointment, she just looked at me and said, you know something? Something tells me you should go on your own. And my wife has wonderful instincts. And if for any gentleman out there, if you have a lovely woman in your life and they tell you that their instincts are telling you to do something, always listen to it. Believe me, that you'll never go wrong. So she stayed home, and thank goodness she did, because after the event was over, had she come, I'm sure it would have been grounds for divorce, or at least I would have been in the doghouse for a couple of weeks, because it was out of this world. And in many different ways. So I go to the channeler, and they inform me as I arrive that her husband will participate. He's going to be call it the concierge, because she says I'm a trance channeler, which means I lie down and I go basically out cold. She says I go into basically a coma, and I'm fine. There's no problem, but when the being comes through, I'm completely oblivious to what's going on. So from that perspective, I'm like, okay, what have I got myself into? But in for a penny, in for a pound. And I'm the type of guy, when I make a commitment, especially for myself, I'll see it through every time. My wife calls me Mr. Extreme for good reasons. Um, so anyway, before I describe what the session was like, I'll just share one viewpoint on the difference between a psychic, a medium, and a channeler. And this is just my personal experience over 25 years. So it's not the definition. It's certainly, I'm sure other people have other viewpoints, but this is mine. So take it for what it's worth. But to me, a psychic is somebody who taps into your energy, your soul energy, your aura energy, and your guide team. And they're helping you answer life questions such as, career, romance, finances, travel, things that are going on in your life that you'd like to get some answers to. And so for me, as I've mentioned in previous videos, I'd go to my friend 2, 3 times a year, 4 times a year, and get updates. And I found it very prescriptive to help me with what's coming down the road 6 to 12 months out. It was very helpful for me. Gave me a great advantage in life, by the way. And I was really fortunate to have that. So a medium is somebody whose skill set is channeling, or I should say connecting to, a dearly departed loved one. Somebody who used to be human, in a human form, having a human life, who died, their body died, but their spirit went on. And now they're on the other side, but they want to communicate over to loved ones they'd left behind. And the loved ones left behind go to the medium because they want to connect to them. So kind of saying, like, an example would be, you want to talk to, a grandmother or grandfather who's passed, and find out what they think about how you're living your life. You're on the right track. What are their opinions? What are their insights? What's their advice? So you go to a medium for that. A channeler, and this is my experience for what I do, it's a life coach. It's a life coach about getting in contact and connection to your genuine self and pivoting your life to be on that track, so that you're going after the things in life that you're passionate about, excited about, that fill your gas tank up, Doesn't mean you're not going to have challenges, but it means even when you hit challenges, you're happy to resolve them and you get through them faster with less scarring because you're being your genuine self. And that attracts people to you. Whatever it is you choose to do, when you do it in a genuine nature, you attract people to you who want to be a part of that or have your services. So, a great analogy would be, if you're a general contractor that builds houses and you just love that, that's what you always wanted to do, not because of what you were taught or what you were told to do or what you thought you should do based on other people's examples. You just knew this is what I wanted to do for my life. And you get into it and you're really good at it. And because you're really good at it, you're always in demand, because who doesn't like a general contractor that knows what they're doing, charges a fair price, shows up and fulfills all their promises right on time? Even if they hit challenges, they'll be honest with you and say, we hit this snag, I'm behind because of the supplier, but I'm working on it and I'll get you back on track. That's somebody who's in connection with their dharma. The dharma of a general contractor is the best analogy I can use in this specific case. And so that's why I love channeling, because it's very much life coach help that's given. So when I went to the channeler, I was expecting kind of like a psychic experience, what's coming down the pipe in the next 6 to 12 months. Well, when she went into her trance, the very first thing that happened was her voice changed and weird sounds came out of her mouth. Like she sounded like a dolphin. I'm like, what have I got myself into? But I'm like, again, I'm in for this. I made my commitment. Let's just ride this out. But if you don't mind, I'll put on my 5-point harness here because this is going to be a wild ride. And grateful that my wife was smart enough not to come. Oh my goodness. Whew. That still makes me cringe sometimes, but smart lady. So after the noises stop, the voice is different. So just to paint you a picture, this lady was in her mid-30s at the time, very lovely in all ways, physical, emotional, and highly gifted, not just spiritually, but she was an artist. She was a wonderful musician. She did artwork. She had had a near-death experience in India when she was there doing her yoga and her meditation practices, and that's what got her in connection with the team. It was that near-death experience is how she discovered them. So the last thing I'm expecting is dolphin sounds to come out of this very lovely woman, and then a male voice. Now, a little bit of a female tone to it because her vocal cords of that of a human female, but very, very different. And right off the bat, they just come right at me with a question of, we want to talk to you about your daddy complex. And I'm like, daddy complex? What are you talking about? My dad's dead. He died like 8 months ago. I said my goodbyes. I had my good cry. Yes, I miss him. Yes, I loved him. But I'm also of the faith that his body died. He didn't die. So he's on the other side. I'm sure he's just fine. In fact, he's probably doing better off over there than he was over here because he had a lot of problems on this side. And they said, no, that's not what we're getting at. And where this was going was I had a false belief system inside of me called, I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. And they were right. They were right, because I was always one to feel like I was less than everybody else around me, especially in my career. I was always like looking at the people I was working with and always in fear of, they're going to find out one day that I can't run as fast as they think I can, that I'll never be as smart as them, or my God, they're so good at what they do, it's going to take me 10 years just to catch up. This whole mental story that I was generating in my mind of being unworthy was bleeding into my life, and it was draining my energy and my focus that was better spent on doing another activity, which was becoming a better version of myself. So where they were going with this was simply this, and I hope this is the lesson that the viewing audience takes away this evening. It is that when you feel unworthy or you feel like you're not good enough, that's just you telling yourself that. It's a false belief. As soon as you drop that story, you're not unworthy, you are worthy. Because the three tenets in the universe. The three truths in the universe are, number one is you're a child of creation. We all are. Number two is you're unique. We all are. And number three is you're worthy. We all are worthy at all times, irrespective of what we do. Now, it's not a license to go out and do mean things or bad things, but it means that even if you make mistakes in your life, you're still worthy. You haven't not lost your worthiness to your creator. You're worthy the whole time. You're never judged by your creator. That's a falsehood too. The creator wants you to have a life experience, to grow, to expand. And yes, you're going to make mistakes, but worthiness is never off the table. It's always your birthright, no matter what you do. Again, it's not a license to do bad things, and always do the very best to be your best version. But even when you make mistakes, how many times, good people make a mistake and they go, oh my God, I'm so stupid. Why did I do that? Well, no, you're not stupid. That's a false belief, right? You made a mistake, and the only thing stupid about it is if you repeat it because you don't take the lessons learned and apply it so you don't make the same mistake a second time. So I've been walking around with this whole called unworthiness that I believed in, and they got really surgical. They were like, this started when you were 2 years old. So I thought back, I'm like, well, I can't remember back to being 2, but I can remember being 4, certainly 5, and remembering what it was like to be around my father. He was a good man. He loved me, but he couldn't tell me. I knew through other people that he was proud of me, but he couldn't tell me. And I always was like, what's the problem? I can tell anybody who I love you. And it wasn't until later I understood, after I learned more about his history as a child, what caused these issues in him to make him feel unworthy. And that was the same problem. We were both sharing the same problem, but not knowing it. So my view as a 4-year-old child was everybody loved my dad. He had the X factor. When he walked into a room, people were naturally attracted to him. Now, he was really good looking, 6'2", 190 pounds, blue eyes, movie star looks, but he also had that magnetic attraction to him, combined with a photographic memory. So whatever he learned, he never forgot. Whatever he read, he never forgot. In fact, when the internet first became a thing and then Google was first released, and people are like, wow, you can type a question into this thing called Google and it gives you answers. My dad's friends used to joke with him saying, Don, you were the Google of your time until this computer replaced you. And they were right, because my father gave proper factual answers based on his learnings because he just never forgot things. So I had this high esteem, a high regard for my father. I put him way up there on a pedestal. And I always wanted his approval because I saw him give approval to other people, and I saw what it did for them, made them feel good. I thought if they had Don's approval, people felt good about themselves. And so I chased this, not realizing that I'd gotten into this mode of taking my time and my energy and my focus and focusing it rather than inward to ask myself, why do I believe this false belief system in the first place of not worthy? And rather, I turned outside and tried to get validation from an external source to fill that hole. And what the team was getting at was, it's a fool's game. It's a fool's game for a reason. The person that you're reaching out to get that approval from is temporary. And by that, they mean they have a start and they have an end date. That means they're born and then they die. They're only here for a certain period of time. The second reason is that they don't have all wisdom and all access to information. In other words, they're not the creator. You're asking for approval from somebody who's not the creator, who knows everything. They're just a human that knows lots of things, and very smart people in most cases, but outside of what they know, they don't know anything else. They don't know how the planets and stars kind of hold themselves in space. They don't know what a quark is. They don't know, in some cases, they don't know how to cook. They gotta order out to feed themselves. But they might be the most amazing surgical doctor in the world. If you've got a problem with your body, that's the guy you want, because boy, they're smart. But outside of that, it doesn't mean they know everything else. So that's the second reason. The third reason is they're flawed. They make mistakes. We mistakes. Every human being makes mistakes. Whether you intend to or not, you make mistakes. So where I'm going with this, and that what they shared with me, which I hope is helpful for the viewing audience, is when you take your time and energy and go outwards to try to fill a hole that's inside, even if you gain their approval, you got it from somebody who's temporary, who doesn't have all information, and is flawed. So even if you get their approval, maybe they base their approval on flawed information and they've made a mistake. So you think you got their approval, but it's a it's nonsensical, right? Or worse, at an evening of just talking with them, they go, you know something? I love you. I think you're terrific. You have my approval. And the next morning they wake up and go, you know, I had a couple of beers last night. I don't know what I was thinking. I take that back. You went from down here up to here, and by the morning you're not only back to where you started, you're even lower because now you've gone lower because you thought you had the proof. Now you don't have. Now it's even worse because what you thought you had, now you've lost. Whereas in my case, it was the other side of the coin, the duality, the other side of the coin, which was I never got that approval verbally from my father. And so I wasted all my time and energy trying to gain it. And I never got it. So now I feel like a failure. It reinforced that I'm a loser. I was believing I was a loser, unworthy, not good enough. And because I failed from my and trust me, I tried. Oh my God, I tried for decades and I didn't get it verbally. I felt even lower. So I made my hole even deeper artificially, not realizing that the way out of that nightmare is to realize you created it. You created it with a false belief system called I'm not worthy, when the entire time you're worthy. Yeah, you make mistakes. Yeah, you don't have all information. Yeah, you're hurt temporarily. But the only opinion that matters is the opinion you hold of yourself. And so I'm grateful for that lesson. It took me a few years for that session to really integrate into me. I listened to the recording over and over again, and every time I picked up some new wisdom about it. And eventually got to a point where I realized, oh, you know something? I noticed that it doesn't matter to me what people think of me anymore. It doesn't change my behavior. I still try to be the best version of myself, loving, kind, empathetic, helpful, in service, because that's my true nature. But when I make a mistake, I don't beat myself up anymore. I just learn from the mistake, apply it with my energy and my time to not repeat it and become a better version of myself. And so if somebody approves of me and gives me their approval, I thank them. I appreciate it. Thank you for recognizing that, I say. But deep down inside, I don't need it to fill this hole up because I dropped the false belief system. I know I'm worthy now, just like you are. You just have to do the work to get to that point where you're able to drop that story you keep telling yourself, because that's all it is. It's just a story. Even if somebody at an early childhood level was telling you you're stupid, you're no good, as you grow up, it makes complete sense that you have that belief system and that you may embody that for a period of time. But as you become an adult, your life is your life and your responsibility. And if you don't work to heal the trauma, even if it's inflicted upon you by others, you're bound to bleed on those who never hurt you in the first place. And that's a motto I live by. And so I hope you find this chat today helpful. Again, it's just my experience. It's not based on anything other than my experience. But this is how I healed myself from the I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm a loser, false belief systems. And it doesn't happen overnight. It can be a slog at times. But I'm telling you, once you get to the other side of that, there's nothing but freedom. Now, I enjoy when my wife gives me a compliment because it means something to me, but not because I need it to fill a hole, but because it's just a form of her appreciation for what I do to contribute to our relationship as she does for me. And that has been an amazing an amazing gift in my relationship with her. So I'll leave that with you with blessings. Good evening.